me?
Yeah, so based on that question,
well, hold
Chris,
on. Chris Super Duper?
Super
Dude
wants to know, what advice would you give someone training to be a wrestler? I like this question. What
did I tell you the first day?
The first day that I showed up, before I even signed anything or got any of my shirts, he told me to leave.
Boom.
And to never come back.
Boom. There you go, Chris Super Dude. I want to say Super Duper.
So that was my first impression on Coach, actually. I was like, oh, aren't you a sweet little thing?
Well, it's probably nice of you. I say, get the fuck out while you can. Get
I was like,
go.
Whoa,
get the heck out of here.
Nice.
What advice would I give someone training to be a wrestler? I just want to make sure I read that right. Okay. Besides, don't get out, whatever.
Yeah, there's some things that you've stated. So if you can't throw a believable punch, don't throw it. Don't go around the world to cross the street.
Yeah,
your face is your money.
Well, that don't go around the world across the street's a Malenko thing. He also said don't make a blizzard out of a fart, Right? Oh my gosh, he had so many. A man with one eye is king in the land of the blind, I can go on and on. There's like 10 or so many Malenkoisms. But the advice I would give Chris Super Dude there is do your research. Okay, if you're gonna invest time and you truly want to become a professional wrestler, do your research on the schools that you're going to go to in the training. You want to find somebody that knows what they're doing. It don't have to be current or ex WWF, WWE guy or WCW guy or anything like that. It just needs to be somebody that is consistently wrestled for like over 10 years somewhere consistently and is out there wrestling. Because some of the greatest workers are never gotten the chance to be in the spotlight or ever got their cup of coffee or their 10 minutes of fame. Some of them are just be journeymen for life, just not in the right places at the right time. Doesn't make them not great trainers. You know what I mean? So and the facility doesn't have to be a 5-star facility with marble floors and a weight thing and a yoga instructor or something there. I mean, some of the best training I had was in a backyard with Rusty and Malenko, and also in a shed that was just a little bit wider than the ring. But if you happen to touch the pole in that shed at the same time, you would get shocked.
Oh,
So the facility itself doesn't matter, but the trainer does, and the training you
Absolutely.
get doesn't have to be a huge class. I would prefer, I think a smaller class. If they only took like 5 people in, that's better for you because you're gonna learn easier in a smaller group instead of getting lost in a shuffle or getting held up.
More reps,
but definitely do your research on the person training, and then go sit in on some classes and make sure that person is the one there training, and he's not just put their name on the school and the students are running it or something. Which some students can do fine if they're trained by him, but they don't have that same knowledge or experience that that person is putting their name on that school. That he or she needs to be there and to do that. So with that being said, look into that, do your research, and if you have to drive an extra hour, drive the extra hour because it's going to be worth it. If it's an extra $500, pay the extra $500 because it's going to be worth it. You get what you pay for, and you get what you put into it. So if you're really going to truly invest in it, just do your research. That's the most important thing you do on the school that you want. And if it costs a little bit more, it costs a little bit more, but it's gonna be worth it. If it's a little bit of further drive, it's gonna be worth it. So, and if you're gonna go that far and you really want to do it, those are the things I would look into before you get anywhere else. Before you get to, if you can't throw an unbelievable punch, don't throw it. What I'm saying is if your punches suck, don't throw them until you can, because you're just gonna expose everything. One crappy punch will take away from 2 other great. You could be having a great match and everything's going great. You're in there, everything's looking good, and everything's jiving, and you throw a bullshit punch that looks terrible, and it just kills everything. It just kills all credibility, takes away all the magic and everything. And as far as don't go around the world across the street, that would be for an example. For example, and I have you do it as a drill, but I wouldn't do it in a show. But Tiger Mask did it. The headlock switch, hammerlock, drop toe hold. Or just do a drop toe hold. The headlock switch into the hammerlock to the drop toe hold. That's flashy. He does it so fast. It's a moment, but that's really going around the world across the street. You don't want any wasted movements, Point A to point B. You want to be in the right places at the right time. You don't want to be running here to run here. You don't want to do 2 forward rolls just to come up and give somebody a clothesline in the corner. Why did you do 2 forward rolls? Did it really give you that much more momentum? to do 2 forward rolls and then hit somebody with a clothesline.
Makes sense.
Did it? You know what I mean? That's going around the world across the street. Just running with the clothes. But with that being said, there's working transitions too, which you don't want to get caught as you're doing these things. You don't want to. And I was working with the bald dude. Why can't I think of his name now? He's from Minnesota. Whatever, but he's more an advanced guy. He trained somewhere else originally. He comes in, he does advanced stuff, and you don't want to back somebody in. James, yeah. You don't want to back somebody in.
I'm trying to picture everyone's face. Yeah. I'm like, who's bald?
Yeah, he keeps his head real shiny.
We have a couple bald, not bald people, but definitely some buzz cuts.
You just don't want to back somebody in and send them off. It's just very boring and very bland. You want to work in working transitions. You want to be like, so if you're bigger than me and I'm smaller and I got you in the ropes and I go to send you, I shouldn't be able to just send you right off, like especially early in the match. That person should be able to stop the rope. Maybe you come in with an arm whip and then you get leverage and go for the shoulder, you send them off, or maybe you hook a rope and the ref's telling you to break the count because you got the babyface is to the left, but he comes back, you catch him with an elbow, you go to the heel, the guy pinned on ropes, so go to throw a line and hit him, but when he turns around, the babyface, the good guy will take his arm back, and there you are, boom, and then you get into that position and you can send somebody off. Working transitions, make all your movements count. Don't just make them count, and that's not going, you just don't, it's just make it count, like working transition. It's really bad when you just back people in and shoot them off, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, you're just running point, like running here and here and here. And it doesn't go around the world across the street. You're gonna draw people in with that. People are gonna watch. They're gonna be like, oh look, it's gonna look like more of a chess match or there's checkers and there's chess. You know what I mean? Don't play checkers with somebody that understands chess. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
But not everybody in the crowd can understand the game of chess, so you got to have checker moments. You know what I mean? So those of you don't go around the world across the street, those checker moments, and then these working transitions would be chess game moments, right? That makes sense?
It does.
To you it does, but I probably confused everybody out there.
Would a checker moment be like the Rock bottom? Like the Rock when he does the elbow? He just runs around and...
I guess like what's he saying? It's like checkers.
A checker moment would be like duck a line, watch a line. Duck a line and get hit with a clothesline.
It's more
just
so
straightforward.
Checkers is kind of like, unexpected. Chess, it's a calculated move, you know? Yeah.
And chess is...
You got to think about it. You got to calculate
more moves ahead. Even checkers is too, but chess is more calculated. You're going to sacrifice this to get this. So if you're a heel and you're setting up something long run, you're going to get clowned here and here, different ways to bait him into ultimately shut him down, to turn your evil empire on him and pound it, piss out of him. Yeah, So, chess and checkers. They're both acceptable, but you got to find a good blend with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And when to use them.
Exactly. The wins. What? Win, why? Win and why? Win and why? Why and when? Whatever. Win and why.
I can't believe you didn't get the one thing he says all the time. Slow, smooth.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
I hear that more often than any of those.
Or he always say, if you think you're going too slow, go slower.
Yeah. If you think you're slow, slow down some more.
I haven't heard that one yet, actually.
Because I've been pounding that slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Because if you're slow, if your footwork's in the right place, you don't gotta be running all over like a chicken with your head cut off. You're gonna be in the right spot, but being in the right spot at the right time is gonna make it look fast, but it's gonna be so much smoother, So slow is smooth, smooth is fast, definitely. I think that might be we were talking Mark Wahlberg movies. I heard it the other day in a Mark Wahlberg movie.
Yeah.
When he was shooting a sniper. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast when you pull in the trigger, I'm sure. I thought I heard it in a Mark Wahlberg movie too. I go, look at there, Marky Mark. He knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I do preach that a lot. I used to say it, and I still do say, I'll say less is more. The Samoans will say less is best, because they change it. They want it, but less is best, less is more. Same thing. Less is best, less is more. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. If you think you're going too slow, slow it down some more. All that. Don't go around the world across the street. And lately, everybody's been making blizzards out of farts at that school. Like, oh my goodness, What else would Malenko say? Gosh, I can't even remember. Well, I don't think this was a Malenkoism, but he used to always say that. He would used to scream at this one lady, Phyllis Lee, and everybody. But he would try to explain something, and you would explain your point back. He goes, "You're talking apples, and I'm talking oranges. Shut the up and just listen to me, kid." You'd have loved Boris Malenko. He's a great Professor Malenko. That'd be Dean and Joe's dad. He trained me with Rusty Brooks. Rusty Brooks was a South Florida guy. Malenko came down. He was a Tampa guy. But he was training down here in South Florida for Global, and we went there. And it's I saw one of the emails. We get a lot of fan questions that come in, and one of them was like, "Hey," actually it was on my text message, not text, but Twitter or something today when I posted in the studio. They're like, "Tell some GWA and Malenko stories." They're talking about Boris Malenko, but. There's so many. I'd have to spend a whole hour and try to. I'd probably have to have a beer before I come in here to remember the GWA days because there was a lot of partying and stuff like that. But that was where it first started. It was called Global Wrestling Alliance. It was the first high-def company. It was out of Pompano Beach, Florida. That's where they taped. But the school was in Davie, Florida here. And it was in. They were in a big facility and they went to a racquetball court. Somebody embezzled all the money and ended up in Rusty's backyard because he did like. I'll take you all, and and then Malenko went to Tampa, so then I would train with Rusty during the week, and then go to the weekends and train with Malenko. But GWA, it was a good times, man, good stuff. But